Picture is going viral with Bria Hartley with the sinister grin, right? This malevolent look that's on her face right now, clearly smiling after injuring Sophie Cunningham.
Sophie Cunningham was recently eliminated from the game by Bria Hartley after what appeared to be a vicious leg collision. Fans are wondering what exactly happened when Bria Hartley collided with Sophie Cunningham because of her behavior on the court. Was it something far darker? Or was it just a careless play? When cameras captured Hartley grinning while Cunningham hobbled off in obvious pain, the indignation reached a breaking point.
And let's be clear here, Sophie Cunningham was targeted. Let's be very, very clear here. But Sophie Cunningham was flat out targeted by a dirty
What started off as a simple basketball motion turned into one of the season's most contentious incidents. Did Hartley go too far? Or was this an accident?
Cunningham is down. My goodness. Scary moment as we went to commercial. Sophie Cunningham hit the floor hard and she is being helped off the floor, heading back to the lock.
A powerful drive to the basket was the beginning of it all. In the second quarter, Bria Hartley drove through traffic with such force that she collided with Cunningham's right leg. As a result, Cunningham instantly grabbed her knee and fell to the ground in pain. As she was assisted off the court, unable to continue, the trainers raced to her aid.
Just occurred.
That's like she tries to slide over right there, and Hartley just kind of falls and makes collision with that lower leg. You see her immediately grab it. And she went down hard and was clearly in a lot of pain.
It wasn't just another wound. It was worse than that. As Sophie was assisted, the entire court fell silent. Fans were left to consider the ramifications as Cunningham was declared out for the remainder of the match. The impact was not lessened by the slow-motion replays. In fact, they made matters worse. The collision's angle, Cunningham's gripping her leg, and the agonizing expression on her face conveyed the gravity of the situation.
WNBA Fever fans wake up pissed off today. Pissed off. Not only are we getting assaulted, but they're smiling about it. This is the 6th time they've smiled, laughed, and cheered on our Indiana Fever players getting assaulted, getting injured, and it pisses me.
However, the referee's lack of action made it worse. The officials never looked into the issue, as if the play itself wasn't sufficient. There was no review of the injury or interruption to the game, despite the fact that everyone watching could see that something significant had occurred. Many spectators questioned the officiating's credibility after the game was not stopped and the matter was not adequately assessed. Why didn't the referees intervene?
Hartley deserves zero benefit of the doubt. And Sophie Cunningham's family not too happy.
Fans demanded accountability after the incident, which set off a social media firestorm. As the minutes passed, more and more people began to accuse the WNBA of neglecting to protect its players.
All kind of excuses to say that Bria Hartley is not a dirty player. Let me tell y'all something, man. Come on in here. Come on in here, man. Let me tell y'all something. If it quacks like a duck, walks like a duck, eats like a duck, it's a duck, man. Come on, man. She is the dirtiest player in the WNBA right now, winning the trophy. All right? Winning the trophy for it. Don't sit here and try to tell me Bria Hartley is not a dirty.
Lindsay, Cunningham's sister, and even Paula, her mother, joined in lamenting the inaction. They didn't merely criticize the officials. Additionally, they blamed the league for continuously punishing players who voiced their opinions while failing to hold officials responsible for their errors. What is the league's position on this?
Sophie Cunningham was targeted, y'all. I'm telling you right now, Sophie Cunningham was targeted by Bria Hartley, and it just is what it is. It is what it is. I don't want to sit here and play games and act like, you know, she wasn't. She was targeted by Bria Hartley, and that's just the fact of the matter. And people can act like it's not all they want, I told you guys this girl was a dirty player. And that's all she did today was show how dirty she is.
However, that wasn't even the worst of it. Every viewer's eye was drawn to something when the cameras moved away from the court. Bria Hartley grinned. Yes, she was seen grinning on camera as Cunningham was lifted off the ground. It appeared to some to be a callous reaction to a player's injury. Could Hartley have had a worse moment?
You can tell Bria Hartley, in my opinion, she launched herself into her knee. She did. And I've seen some of the reaction online. And guys, it's despicable. It really is. There's a lot of people celebrating this injury. And guess what? You can imagine who it is. It's members of the old WNBA fandom, the ones that root for Paige Beckers and Angel Reese and Asia Wilson and all the usual damn suspects.
As admirers repeatedly watched the video, social media exploded. They saw this as more than a moment of poor publicity. As Sophie Cunningham was assisted off the court, Hartley appeared to be chuckling. And that caused a stir on all social media platforms. The collision was no longer the only issue. It was about Hartley's total lack of regret.
7 to shoot. Cardoso rolls, catch. Cardoso over the top, can't get it. Reese fights with a rebound and a foul, and this time gets a little chippy and a shove on Nelson Ododa. And listen, this arena typically we'll see some ringside fights, and Charles this time trying to fight through the official, points a long finger. And as both teams walk to their respective corner.
But we mentioned the physicality and that last possession, the contact being let go. This time, I think it was accidental by Hartley. And then Reese just with a big reaction. And Tina Charles, being the vet that she is, gonna stick up for her team. If you know anything about Angel Reese, she is going to go hard. She's tough. She cares about making a stand for her team. And I love the reaction from Tina Charles as a vet. You want to see your vet.
Hartley's response wasn't a unique occasion for a lot of supporters. It was much more difficult to ignore this moment because of her previous actions on the court. Hartley had already established a reputation for playing aggressively and occasionally carelessly. She was seen on camera pulling Angel Reese's hair during a rebound earlier this year, which sparked a furious altercation. She then got into a fight with Rebecca Allen, which resulted in her expulsion. These weren't small-scale occurrences. They fit into a pattern that had started to shape Hartley's professional life. Was this smile an indication of who she really was?
This is Bria Hartley right here, grinning from ear to ear with Sophie Cunningham smiling. I mean, that's despicable, folks. There's no other way to look at it. Yeah, how about this right here? That chick grinning after Caitlin Clark got slammed to the ground. And then this chick. I mean, really? Unbelievable.
Both analysts and T fans started making the connections. The smirk following Cunningham's injury doesn't seem like a unique event when you consider Hartley's past on-court behavior. It seems to be the result of A.
Kelsey Mitchell. Every game is a home game. Listen to the crowd in Connecticut. Final score in overtime. Fever 99, Sun 93. And Indiana completes the greatest comeback in franchise history.
Hartley's previous deeds now appear to validate her position as the story's antagonist. Social media went into overdrive because of Hartley's past and her on-court response. This was the last straw for fans. The notion that Hartley was only a careless player no longer satisfied them. She was now seen by them as a repeat criminal who had gone too far.
Kelsey Mitchell has a new career high. Backdoor Mitchell bouncing in the paint for two. Kelsey Mitchell, the big is matched up. Mitchell squeezing through for two at the foul. Fouls on the other end. It's Mitchell launching it.
Not even Cunningham's family could resist. Sophie's sister Lindsay Cunningham expressed her displeasure with the referee's answer, pointing out that the WNBA's history of penalizing vocal players for criticizing poor refereeing has fostered a culture in which such mistakes go unpunished. It was an easy question. Why didn't the WNBA intervene?
It's another double-double for Aaliyah Boston. Boston will fire a three. It's in. Boston the putback. Push the foul.
Oh, look at Boston just muscle her way into Charles and lay it in.
Boston deep position. Boston pretty spin. Back to Boston. Who ties the game?
Boston now with her 15th double-double of the year. That's a new Fever franchise record.
For Aaliyah Boston, it's another double-double. Boston will bust the footback after firing a three. Push the foul. Boston just pushed her way into Charles and laid it in. Boston is in a deep position. Boston ties the game with a nice spin back to Boston. Boston has already achieved her 15th double-double of the year. That sets a new record for the Fever franchise. This injury was more than simply a setback for the Indiana Fever. Their hopes of making the playoffs were dashed. Caitlin Clark and Ari are among the important players who have already been sidelined. McDonald. The club had even less alternatives on the court after Cunningham's passing. Without Kate, the Fever's chances of making a long playoff run were essentially non-existent. Kate's leadership and scoring were essential to the team's success. Without her, how would they manage?
Knifes off the screen. Charles is doubled.
And Indiana looks like they're in a zone right now.
Kick out and stolen by Mitchell. Explodes 2-on-1. Sims elevates for two and a foul.
Bug with their point guards. This is where you have Odyssey Sims coming in. Kelsey Mitchell making a great heads-up play here, but Odyssey Sims has done a great job early on coming in.
As commentators and fans offered their opinions, the primary source of disagreement was the league's response, or lack thereof. Although Hartley's suspension was discussed, the WNBA hasn't done much to openly address the situation thus far. For this, might Hartley receive a suspension? Analysts started comparing this episode to prior contentious league incidents and questioned whether the WNBA would continue to overlook such behavior. Was this yet another example of the league's inaction?
Momentum swung completely.
Shot clock down to 6 for the Fever. Turner, up fade. Turner kicks it. Hole three-pointer. Bottom!
Indiana.
In retrospect, a lot of fans and commentators started to wonder if this injury could have been prevented. Was Hartley's collision with Cunningham an accident, or did her hostility result in a completely avoidable injury?
So proud of you. We're proud of you too. Proud of you. I'm so proud of you guys.
The scenario was made much more aggravating by the referee's failure to review the play or step in. Could this collision have been avoided if player safety had been given more attention? For many, the most pivotal moment in this entire debate was the sly smile that was flashed following the crash. What did that signify, though? Was it just an adrenaline rush from the game? Or did it point to a more serious problem with Hartley's personality?
We will never be counted out because that is worth.
Both fans and experts started analyzing the psychology underlying Hartley's expression. Some said it was an instance of misdirected annoyance. Others perceived it as a reflection of someone who believed she was untouchable and unaffected by the repercussions of her behavior. Fans realized that Hartley had gone too far.
Foremost, they're good human beings. You know, they're selfless. They're tough. They don't care who gets the credit. They don't care whose day it is. They got something inside of them that you just can't teach. And, you know, they bring it out of each other. And it allows us to go through these incredibly tough times that we're going through, and always gives us a chance.
The WNBA's responsibility for player safety is called into question by the events involving Hartley and Cunningham. How much of an obligation does the league have to stop this kind of behavior? The WNBA has been under fire for years for not holding players responsible for violent behavior. Fans are starting to question whether the league will ever take significant action when additional incidences similar to this one occur. What prospects does the WNBA have for player protection in the future?
You are the consummate professional. We love you. We appreciate you. You are.
Cunningham's value to the Fever extended much beyond her on-court prowess. Her leadership, as one of the team's main leaders, was essential to the Fever's survival throughout an injury-plagued season. The team structure is severely weakened by her departure. Without her, the Fever's already precarious roster would be put to the test, as they would have to rely even more on their surviving players. Following the event, the story was significantly shaped by the media. Media outlets from all around the nation were eager to comment on Hartley's conduct, the crash, and the injuries. While some focused on the contentious response and its implications for the WNBA's future, others adopted a more compassionate approach, dismissing it as a freak event.
And I'm just so incredibly proud of them for continuing to believe, for continuing to pull together, for continuing to step up. I mean, every single person on this roster impacts winning for us. And every single person on this roster is valued for how they impact winning, whether they play a second or not. They give and give and give to this team. And I'm thankful for this group.
Consequences were still unknown while the incident's aftermath persisted. Next, what would the WNBA do? Supporters and pundits argued over whether Hartley would be suspended or if the league would ignore her behavior once more. For many, this was the turning point in the WNBA's reputation for holding players accountable. Ultimately, the WNBA has some challenging questions to address in light of the events involving Bria Hartley and Sophie Cunningham. Will Hartley be held accountable for what she did? Will the league take significant action in the future to safeguard its players? There is no doubt that this incident will rank among the most contentious in recent WNBA history, and the consequences could have a lasting impact on the league. What are your thoughts? Is Hartley in need of suspension? What actions should the WNBA take to guarantee the safety of its players? Please share your opinions in the comments section below.